Tyra Banks versus Naomi Campbell under decades-long feud. Who's the real mean girl? Jealousy, tokenism, and feminism. Naomi Campbell and Tyra Banks, two universally known supermodels that still reign supreme in the year 2021, have both had their fair share of scandals. But the biggest scandal of all has to do with each other. The token black girl trope, particularly in the fashion industry, has been around for ages, and one black at a time, unfortunately, seems to be a recurring theme no matter the situation. With tokenism comes rivalry, and with rivalry comes animosity towards that one black girl potentially taking your hard-earned spot. At least it is in this case. For a young Naomi, vultures with clipboards and measuring tapes chirping in her ear about a newcomer would leave the icon tense and defensive, and the young Tyra would be given the cold shoulder by her once-upon-a-time idol and potential mentor. Allegations of Naomi getting Tyra banned from high fashion shows, calling her out of her name, getting her dropped from her own agency, and straight out telling the America's Next Top Model host, "You'll never be me," are just some examples of the hostility Naomi had towards her fellow model. With more and more top model contestants speaking out and about their experiences on the show, one can't help but wonder if Tyra isn't as innocent as she portrays herself to be. Over the years, Tyra has went on numerous platforms, giving details about Naomi and the years she spent shunning and even bullying her earlier on in their careers. In good old Tyra fashion, she would invite Naomi on her talk show, The Tyra Banks Show, in 2005, where the two supposedly squashed their decades-long beef. But in 2020, Naomi just may have reignited the flames when she posted an article that deemed Tyra the real mean girl. As cutthroat as the modeling industry is, one can sympathize the betrayal an up-and-coming model may feel when someone they idolize wants absolutely nothing to do with them. So, what exactly happened between these two, and why is this stale industry tea being brought up once again? Well, let us pour you a cup and come sip with us while we dissect one of the fashion industry's most notorious feuds. Naomi Campbell was only 15 when she got discovered in 1986 by head of synchro model agency Beth Bolt. Her career quickly progressed and she'd score her first major fashion campaign with British Elle right before her sweet 16, and had landed a cover of Vogue by her 17th. Naomi would soon be on every fashion magazine you could think of, even becoming the first high fashion model on magazines like French Vogue and Time. Her legendary catwalk, paired with her photogenic ability, garnered her worldwide notoriety, and she'd be given the title of supermodel right alongside the likes of Cindy Crawford and Christy Turlington by the mid-90s. On the other side of the pond, a young Tyra Banks, similar to Naomi, had began her modeling career at age 15 and 2 years later would score her first gig with Teen Vogue after signing with one of the biggest modeling agencies in the world, Elite Model Management. In the year 1990, with a semi-established Naomi and an up-and-coming Tyra, the media couldn't wait to pin the two exceptionally pretty newbies against one another. Before the 2000s hit, Naomi would be given the opportunities to walk in shows and shoot campaigns for brands like Victoria's Secret, Chanel, and Versace. All eyes were on her, and only a handful were seeing the Jamaican Londoner at eye level, quite metaphorically and literally. That is, until Tyra began climbing the high fashion ladder, landing similar gigs with Dolce & Gabbana, Victoria's Secret, Elle, and much more. With an industry saturated with a quote-unquote ideal beauty standard, seeing a model of color was almost as rare as seeing Michael Jackson's kids, but with her model-esque traits and unique personality, the unwritten rule of one black model at a time would continue its generational curse, and the media had soon began labeling Tyra as the next Naomi. With talks of a new it girl potentially taking her place, Naomi didn't take this too lightly and would set out to do everything in her power to make sure she remained on the haute couture throne by any means necessary. Naomi and Tyra would be given the opportunity to meet each other face-to-face when they were chosen to be photographed alongside fellow model Beverly Peel for a Vogue spread in 1992. Despite the cheesy smiles and overall bubbly climate the gorgeous picture seemed to display, once the beam of flashes came to a halt, the atmosphere would go from warm to Atlantic cold. Speculation surrounding Naomi's diva antics and mistreatment towards other models had become a topic of discussion beginning around the year 1998, when reports of her attacking her assistants and fighting came about. With fashion outlets routinely blasting Campbell, it wasn't until the year 2005 that Tyra would finally spill the beans and let the world know about her own experience with Naomi. Tyra invited Naomi on her talk show, The Tyra Banks Show, to confront the Jamaican native about the mistreatment she'd once endured. During the sit-down, Tyra mentions the Vogue shoot and the story behind some of the photos. She recalls Naomi coming over and asking her if stylists tried to make Tyra look similar to Campbell. Tyra's honest answer apparently didn't sit well with Naomi because within an instant, Naomi's once kind and caring nature had suddenly turned sour. During the shoot, the two barely mumbled a word to each other, and by the end of the day, the atmosphere had completely shifted. Tyra went on to say how fashion shows would often cancel her, and when asked why, they'd hint at Naomi being the common denominator. Tyra once recalls an incident where Naomi walked up to her and straight out told her, "You'll never be me. Don't ever think you'll ever be me." To which Naomi denied and insisted that saying something of that sort is something she'd never say. But on the Australian version of the modeling competition show The Face, we clearly see Naomi telling fellow judge Nicole Trunfio, "Don't compare yourself to me. You're not on my level and never will be." Ooh, spicy. In response to Banks' claims, Naomi said that some claims were blown up by the media and that she didn't know who she was at the time of her life. Also, that the current day Naomi now knows better than to allow media-driven rumors to get into her head. Towards the end of the show, the two seemed to have made up and allowed bygones to be bygones. But this video isn't over yet, so that can't be the case. When asked about the rivalry in an interview with the Wall Street Journal back in 2019, Tyra rejected the choice of words altogether, stating that in order for them to be considered as rivals, they'd have to have an equal status within the industry at the time, which wasn't the case. Tyra went on to say that the younger Tyra didn't understand why her fave would treat her so evilly, but the adult Tyra understands that a young Naomi was only reacting to an industry that was all about a token. Several years after the encounter, the two were snapped at events like the NAACP Awards, and in 2013, Naomi had told Elle magazine that she was proud of Tyra as a fellow woman of color and the opportunity she's given to other girls. It wasn't until videos from former America's Next Top Model contestants began to circulate around the interweb detailing experiences within and off the show. Videos and articles by former contestants Tiffany, aka We Were All Rooting for You Richardson, Lisa D'Amato, Angelia Preston, Gianna Turner, and more would surface and resurface years later, exposing behind-the-scenes shadiness. When interviewed by BuzzFeed News, Tiffany expressed that she looked up to Tyra like a god going into the show, but once in, the vibe drastically changed. She felt as though Tyra didn't care about any of the girls in the house, but after one of the most memorable moments in ANTM history went down, she says Tyra and her mom went to her hotel the next day to smooth things over. For contestants Lisa, Angelia, and Gianna, their experiences would end on a different route, with Lisa claiming that Tyra used her childhood trauma against her, Angelia claiming that Tyra was basically a stranger when the camera stopped rolling, and that the depiction of Tyra as the loving, caring, involved mentor she's known to be was nothing but a facade. Things really hit the fan when Cycle 24 runner-up Gianna Turner put out a two-part video where she tells viewers that took place after judges asked her about her Playboy past. Gianna says the producers, along with Tyra and her team, knew of her past work beforehand, but after disclosing that she did in fact do Playboy, Tyra looked at her and told her, "I don't like that. You sound like an effing prostitute." Damn. Gianna goes on to say that the producers would regularly single her out, and she would later DM Tyra after the season's end to let her know what all went on with the production behind the scenes. When she went back to check her messages, Gianna says she noticed that Tyra had left her message unseen and continued to say that Tyra preaches about women empowerment but doesn't practice what she preaches. Throughout the years, others have come out and shared their experiences with Tyra, and social media users couldn't help but notice the problematic behavior displayed on the show. Resurfaced clips began circulating online again in 2020, and to our surprise, Naomi would take to her Instagram story to post an article from a site called The Things about Tyra being the real mean girl. 2020 must have really had everybody feeling some type of way because Miss Campbell had reopened an old wound that fans thought was healed long ago. Whether this was an attempt at saving face or a guilty conscience trying to relieve itself, we can only speculate as to why Naomi decided to take a jab at the Smythe Cream founder. Although the article Naomi shared about Tyra may have some truth, that doesn't necessarily take away from the acts Tyra claims Naomi allegedly had done to her personally, nor does Naomi's alleged bullying encounters cancel out. Whether you're Team Naomi or Team Tyra, the discussion surrounding race and tokenism within the modeling industry seems to be the main focal point that Tyra wants us to take away from this decades-long feud. On America's Next Top Model, viewers noticed how exceptionally harsh Tyra would be towards the women of color on the show, but if we analyze the situation a bit deeper, Tyra is not so much anti-black as she is both aware of racism and dedicated to ensuring that future black models arm themselves with the sensibilities and postures necessary to compete in a stubbornly unreflective, homogeneous industry. Despite the article about Ty being the real mean girl between the two, Naomi looks to be trying to clean up her past image from the looks of her YouTube channel and advocacy work. She's now a mentor for younger girls wanting to enter the industry and focuses on uplifting her fellow black peers. According to her Wall Street interview, Tyra is focused on building generational wealth and creating a legacy. Reaction to a cutthroat industry that pins you against the potential next best thing is to be expected, and for a young Tyra and Naomi, they'd be subjected to the industry's minority tug-of-war. The tokenism that injected jealousy and hostility within both of these icons still runs rampant even in 2021, with designers and brands often referring to using POC models in aesthetic seasons. The root of the issue goes way deeper than what we can see, and instead of pinning two black models against each other, we need to focus our attention to the industry's pump and dump approach to casting black models so that other inspiring talents won't have to face the same preventable racial challenges the queens of the catwalk and reality TV had to endure. At the end of the day, Tyra is a forever icon, and Naomi is one of the most legendary supermodels of her time. We love to see both of these ladies winning and hope the cattiness gets left behind once and for all. Like Naomi said, you see all races in music and in dance and theater, so why can't we see it in fashion? Do you think it's time for these women to dump this expired tea down the drain? Let us know what you think in the comment section down below. It would also be cool if we could hear your thoughts on tokenism in the industry. We'd love to hear from you.